Hey guys, and welcome to a new episode of the L24 engine rebuild series. I have to apologize that I have taken so long to upload for quite a while now. I've been in a pretty crazy job search in the first half of the year, but I finished it, and I'm really happy with my new job. But I started to make some more progress with the engine kind of earlier this year after I painted it, which is where I think I left off. And one of the first things I did was ordered a new stud kit. This is not a product I'm going to try to carry on the site. I bought it from the Z store. So it contains all the hardware you're going to need to mount your exhaust manifold and your intake manifolds for your carburetor. You definitely don't need this much anti-seize on them. You can see I tried to sort of wipe it off a little bit, but that's a good technique if you do them one by one, to put a little dab on it and then just honestly try to feel like you're wiping the entirety off with a paper towel, because there will still be some in the threads, which is really all you need. So there are two different sizes here, and the bulk of I think I should have two shots that show all of the smaller ones, which is, the vast majority, and then there's one a little bit larger one. Honestly, I did this so long ago, I can't quite remember. I probably should have made a map, but they're different sizes, so they should make a lot of sense. Now, the technique for inserting these studs is to put two nuts next to each other, and then you can jam them against each other using two wrenches or a socket and a wrench, and just kind of jam them up together so that they butt up against each other. And then you can just use the outer one to screw it in there. And then you follow the opposite sequence when you're ready, and unjam the one nut, and then they should both be able to kind of thread off by hand. Some of the anti-seize will come back out as you thread in the bolt, so you can see here just wiped it down to keep everything clean, because now we're kind of at the clean stuff. It's kind of fun to build this stuff, and not be dealing with dirty parts. So I think the videos are going to get a lot more entertaining in that regard. So continue to follow this process along the entire head and insert all of the studs there. One of the things that is probably the most important thing, given that you're inserting these into an aluminum head, is to be really certain that you're on the threads properly and not gouging into those threads. That, I think, would be quite a nightmare. I don't even know exactly the first thing to do there. I'm sure there are plenty of different ways. Actually, that's one of the things I have to deal with the distributor, is I have to go to an aluminum welder to fill up the hole. But here you can get a good view of everything installed. And even though I did not really, I'm not exactly installing the header or the intake manifold right now, I did just kind of want to put some of this stuff on here to see what it looks like. One of the things to note is if, I ended up putting all of the nuts on the exhaust manifold to secure it, even though you only see one here. But you can see certain holes sort of have like a rounded edge around them, and they butt up next to where the intake manifold goes. And that's what uses those larger washers. So the idea is you're supposed to put the larger washer on and then secure that with a nut. And then those holes are responsible for both the intake manifolds and the exhaust manifold. Kind of straddles both sides. You'll see what I'm talking about. Some of the some of the lower ones, it's a lot more prominent. Like obviously the top ones are just specifically exhaust or intake manifold, and they don't have that. But yeah, like I said, you can just kind of insert these other ones to get it situated there and start to see some things coming together. All right, so this is going to be the beginning of what has been probably the one thing I've been the most excited about during this whole engine build process, and that is getting everything zinc plated. So, I've talked about it plenty. A lot of preparation is involved, and I'm actually not recommending this. My dad has this vibratory machine that hits a bunch of media up against it, and it vibrates it for hours, and, eventually it'll polish it, supposedly. We didn't have too much luck with it, and he's been using it on other projects, and he's kind of not a fan. He kind of thinks it's a waste of money. It did help with some larger stuff, but I figured while I was home, I might as well throw it in there. And this one was pretty good, but a lot of them are really frustrating. So it ended up being a significant amount of wire wheeling and getting everything ready, and labeling, of course, just so they know. I mean, it's simple with the Z, just because it's there's clear zinc and yellow zinc, and there's not much else. You can see the engine plate there still has a little bit of corrosion on it, but I just decided, screw it. We'll see what happens. And I think they ended up getting a lot of that off. It looks great. I mean, actually, everything looks great, which I'll show you pretty soon here. I went with a local company to me here in Baltimore. The name of the company is Marquise Zinc Plus LLC. They're located in Dundalk in Baltimore. And it's a cool old school business. And the owner, who goes by Ski, is it's literally on his business card. He's awesome. He talked to me forever, showed me everything they did. All the employees have been there for a long time, and they all seem happy, and he seems like he treats them well. They primarily do, larger industrial applications, but he says they always try to support, the little guy like me, who's just working on a project, because it just seems to be good business. And like you can see here, everything that they do is just phenomenal. I couldn't be happier that I chose to do things with them. My only thing I was upset about was their work was so good that it highlighted maybe just how kind of bad some components on my engine were, that maybe if I had waited to find a little bit better quality engine. But even then, I'm blown away, and I'll start to show you installing some of this stuff. It looks amazing. So I'm super happy, and this is everything that I had been looking forward to. I started to install just some things that were kind of simple and that kind of don't have to be done really right now, just because I was so excited by getting everything back from plating. Like you can see, these the valve cover bolts are awesome, just because they have that really neat JIS style with the number. I think it's a 7 stamped on the head and the upset head, and it looks really great. So I wanted to get that installed. You can also see the timing indicator plate, or the inspection plate rather. After that, I got a little bit overboard and installed a bunch of other stuff just because I couldn't help but see what it looked like. Don't worry, I'm going to go over all of this in detail and kind of show what I did as I did it. But yeah, I think it was the same day I got all the stuff back from plating, and I just couldn't wait to get a good sense of it. And yeah, it's just so cool to see everything come together after this journey of building this, and it's been really it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, this is going to be a lot more rigorous soon, and I'll show you everything in much more detail. So please, if you've been watching along, and if you found this one interesting, consider subscribing, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.